The station covering all of the DMV. This is DC News Now.
Tonight on your news at 6, mourning lost loved ones on Father's Day. How Annapolis families cope with tragedy after last week's mass shooting. And new findings out. DC Mayor Bowser's former deputy mayor ousted. What attorneys found after allegations of sexual harassment. And an early morning bear sighting in Virginia today. A look here from a sighting in DC recently. We will share more about what was found and a closer look at why we're seeing so many bears roaming the DMV.
And on Father's Day, it has been a very nice day. Mother Nature has granted us a beautiful afternoon across the entire viewing area. But things are going to change for us as we head into Juneteenth Day, as well as the rest of the work week. We'll have the details coming up.
Thank you, Scott. Good evening, and thank you for joining us for DC News Now at 6, Father's Day 2023. I'm Ben Dennis. Tonight, the DMV celebrated Father's Day and their sacrifices for their children. But for families in Annapolis rocked by last week's mass shooting, they mourned that loss of a father ripped away. He was among 3 killed and 3 others hurt. Local families and friends walked through Annapolis this morning for a vigil. They met with Governor Wes Moore for about 2 hours, and participants carried pictures of the victims and several wore T-shirts as a tribute. After walking several blocks near the Maryland State House, the families shared their thoughts about the attack for the first time in public. Our Dave Laval was there for the emotional tribute.
My little boy is taken away from me.
Harsinia Ruiz fights back tears as she recalls her son, Mario Morales, Sunday along the Annapolis City dock. The 27-year-old is one of the 3 people shot and killed in last Sunday's mass shooting along Paddington Place.
Right now, I'm dying. I'm dying inside. But I got 2 more kids and grandkids who need me. And I gotta be strong.
Morales died during a fight with a neighbor, Charles Smith. Investigators said the argument started over a parking space. Morales and others gathered for a birthday party for his brother. Also killed, Morales' father, Nicholas.
He died a hero, protecting Mario.
Eric Velasquez is one of Nicholas's children. Velasquez said the family remains devastated by what happened, especially his younger siblings.
They love them so much, and then they keep asking, "Where's Dad? Where's Dad?" And I just don't want to tell them because I don't want them to. I don't want them to be upset.
He was my baby brother.
Mariana Segovia sobs as she remembers 25-year-old Christian Segovia, the final person killed in the attack.
I was there when he came home from the hospital. I was there when he took his first steps. I was there on his first day of school.
Mario. Family and friends pay tribute to the victims. For some, though, it's almost too much, as they're forced to say goodbye to a loved one. In Annapolis, Dave Laval, DC News Now.
And Smith remains held without bond. He could spend up to 4 decades in prison if convicted. And new tonight, an investigation into a top advisor of D.C. Mayor Muriel Bowser found that he sexually harassed a city employee. That probe came after he was ousted as deputy mayor. Attorneys for the mayor's office found that John Falchicchio made sexual advances last fall to an employee who has remained anonymous. The investigations concluded that Falchicchio sent thousands of messages to the staffer, including an unwanted graphic video and sexually explicit content on Snapchat. But the findings did not conclude that the former deputy mayor showed favoritism based on sexual attraction. It wasn't an allegation, nor was there proof he bullied and demoted staff by turning away alleged sexual advances. We've reached out to his attorney and the accuser's attorney, and we're waiting for a response. Also in the district, 3 teens have been arrested for allegedly committing 10 crimes across the city early Friday. 2 15-year-olds and 1 16-year-old are in custody. Metro Police say the teens reportedly stole cars and carelessly showed guns toward victims between 3:10 and 6:50 in the morning in Northeast, Northwest, and Southeast. They're charged with armed carjacking, armed robbery, and more. Anyone with information is asked to call MPD. And developing out of Virginia, Fairfax police say that 2 dogs are in protective custody after attacking 5 people, including 2 police officers. Now, this happened Saturday night on Elmendorf Drive shortly before 7:30. All those who were injured have been treated for non-life-threatening injuries. And new from Fairfax County, a morning shooting in Herndon critically injures 1 man. Police say that they arrived on Cornelia Road just before 5:30 after receiving calls about a shooting. When they showed up, they found a man shot in his upper body. He was rushed to a hospital and he's listed in critical condition. Investigators are still looking into possible suspects and motives. And developing now, at least 16 people are recovering after a bus hit 2 cars and crashed into a building in Baltimore. Look at those images there. Officials say 2 people suffered life-threatening injuries. Now, the crash happened around 10 a.m. yesterday. Witnesses say one of the cars ran a stoplight and hit that MTA bus. Residents of the apartment building that was hit, they've been allowed back into their apartments.
Fortunately, the status of the building is not as compromised as we may have initially thought it to be. The vertical and steel beams that support this building remain intact.
And police are still investigating what led up to this crash. There will be several Juneteenth events happening across the DMV tomorrow, Monday. In the district, some roads will be closed for the 19th Music Festival. But if you're not driving and plan to hop on the Metro, just a heads up, Metro will be operating on a different schedule.
There will be several Juneteenth events happening across the DMV tomorrow. That's Monday. And in the district, some roads will be closed for the Juneteenth Music Festival. But if you're not driving and plan to hop on the Metro to go anywhere to celebrate Juneteenth or just get around, just a heads up, Metro will be operating on a different schedule. Trains will run on a Saturday schedule for tomorrow's Juneteenth holiday, and trains will operate between 5 a.m. and midnight. Now, here's how often you can expect trains on each line. You can expect the green and yellow lines to come every 8 minutes, the blue and orange lines to come every 15 minutes. The red line between Shady Grove and Silver Spring will run every 8 to 10 minutes. Now, the red line between Silver Spring and Glenmont will run every 16 minutes until 9:30 p.m. and then every 20 minutes until close. As for the silver line between Ashburn and McLean, it'll run every 8 to 10 minutes, and the silver line between Ballston and Largo every 15 minutes. Now, WMATA says Metro Bus will operate Saturday supplemental service running on a reduced schedule compared to a regular weekday, but additional options beyond a traditional weekend schedule. We're in the studio. I'm Tosin Fakile for DC News Now. Back to you.
Oh, thanks to Tosin Fakile there. Scott Sumner joining us now. Scott, it was a relatively warm kind of day. I broke a little bit of a sweat when I took out the dog today.
Yeah, it was a nice way to wrap up the weekend, that's for sure, Ben. As a matter of fact, let's take a look at what we have outside right now. 87 degrees, lots of sunshine out there. The humidity and dew point numbers are low, so it's a pretty dry atmosphere outside. These numbers are going to change during the week, and well, it's not going to be a pretty week, that's for sure, but very typical summer-like weather's building in. West to southwest breeze at 11 miles an hour is being seen right now. Our satellite radar is quiet outside, as you can see here with our live camera out at Annapolis. A beautiful look there. The mast of the boat here is moving a little bit, so there's a little bit of a breeze out there. But overall, it's a very pleasant day all in all, and there has been some haze to the skies we talked about yesterday. It actually turned out to be a little bit better than I expected. So that's a good thing, you know, that's for sure. And the reason why we are going to see the rest of the night being fairly nice is this area of high pressure. But unfortunately, all good things must come to an end. And this is going to be our crux for the week. It doesn't look like a lot, and it doesn't seem like there's a lot of moisture associated with it. But it's really going to be a pain in the butt here as we go throughout the next several days. We'll break into that coming up here with the main weather. Plenty of evening tonight. We're looking at the 80s down into the 70s. Oh, what a delightful evening it's going to be. A little bit of a breeze. It's going to feel pretty nice out there overall. And tomorrow, lunch in the park, we're going to be very, very warm, getting up into the upper 80s here. May have a little haze to the sky once again. But then after that, I don't see too much in the way of hazy sunshine coming up, and I'll explain in just a bit. Ben?
Thanks, Scott. Looking forward to it. In health news, millions of Americans relying on Medicaid coverage are now manually renewing that coverage after their policies were automatically renewed from a pandemic-era policy. But the change has reportedly upended coverage for thousands of Marylanders. Our Michaela Newton reports.
Applying for insurance can be tricky for many people, and this year a COVID-19 pandemic policy came to an end for people covered by Medicaid. The Maryland Department of Health are telling Marylanders who have Medicaid to check in and update their information. The state health department reported over 34,000 people were disenrolled from Medicaid. Ken Oldham, president and CEO of the United Way of Frederick County, says people that live in Alice households or households that do not earn enough to afford basic necessities are the ones most impacted.
The tragic thing is that the automatic renewals were working. We had a lot of individuals that were getting coverage that never had it before, and now thousands and upon thousands of households don't have the coverage they once had.
But here's the good news. People who had Medicaid who lost their coverage have 120 days to get their insurance back. And if someone is no longer eligible, they might be able to file an appeal. In the state of Maryland, 1.8 million people are on Medicaid. And Marylanders who are no longer eligible for Medicaid coverage should visit Maryland Health Connections at the link right there on your screen for more information on the options available for low or no cost coverage. Reporting in the studio, I'm Michaela Newton for DC News Now.
Important information there. Thank you. Happening now in Virginia, a young black bear seen roaming around Arlington County. The county's Animal Welfare League of Arlington says that they've received several calls about several sightings. They recommend keeping your pets inside, make sure trash cans are secured, and most importantly, do not interact with any bears. They also say contact them if you see one. You can call their animal control team on the number at the bottom of your screen. Again, please do not interact with the bear if you see it. And coming up later in the newscast, a closer look at the reason behind the number of bear sightings we've seen in the DMV in recent weeks.